What is up, guys? Right here in front of me, I have two Yamaha TTR125s, a 2016 that I picked up for $1,000 and a 2007 that I picked up for $800. A TTR125 in good running condition in this area goes for about $2,000, so I'm going to get both of these bikes cleaned up and running strong and see what sort of profit I can turn and how much time it takes. If you didn't know, this sort of thing is what eventually led to me building bikes, as I flipped bikes as a side hustle for a few years until that eventually led to frame up bike builds. So I'm going back to my roots with this video. Let's see what these TTRs need, and I hope you enjoy. I gave each of the bikes a visual inspection and noticed the 2016 was missing a front wheel spacer, could benefit from new tires, and needed a proper gas vent line, but overall is in really solid condition. The 2007, on the other hand, definitely needs more love. Leaky fork seals, absolutely roached tires, both front and rear, a makeshift battery box cover, very bent handlebars, and some nasty, brittle, sun-faded plastics. Now, both of these bikes have been sitting all winter, so let's see if they run. Dead battery. She's just a little cold. So this one should actually be solid. It fired up no problem when I bought it and I ripped it around, felt good. This one, on the other hand, might need some work. I don't even think the electric start is hooked up on this one, if I remember correctly. Ignition's off. Not bad. I bought this one when it was snowing out, so barely got it to start. That's no throttle. It's just starting and then immediately dying. Very interesting. Immediately dies. Huh. So that, I would say, is abnormal. On these TTRs, it is pretty normal, like what was happening to that one, where if you try and give it throttle when it's cold, it'll die. But this one is just idling for a second and then bleh. So this one I feel good about in terms of the way it runs. This one will probably start with some carb work and go from there. I decided I should probably take a look inside the air box before anything else, and what do you know, we've got a rag for an air filter. I popped that out and decided to try again and see if the bike was just starving for air as it tried to breathe through that rag. Let's go take it around the block. Thing's actually not running half bad now. It just had some bad gas in it. It sounds pretty mean with no air filter. This thing's actually running pretty good, to be honest with you. Nice and smooth. We might not be in too bad a shape. Just flush this gas and get some ethanol-free premium in this girl. I think I've got two flat tires, so I gotta be careful. So probably still clean the carb, but less concerned than I was. I mean, it's running pretty good. I mean, now choke's off, it's idling quite high. She's still got some torque. She's still got that TTR torque, baby. Oh, whoa! Now the e-start works. Let's go. All right. Okay, the 07 is not gonna be too rough. All right, it is a couple days later. I've got a nice parts haul behind me from Rocky Mountain, ready to get to work on these TTRs. I now also have my own custom page on the Rocky Mountain website with a list of my favorite tools, favorite parts, favorite riding gear. So if you want to check it out, that link is down below. Any purchases you make on Rocky Mountain using my link earn me a commission, so I really appreciate the support. I think we'll dive into this 07 first and then visit the 16. Let's do it.
So as I was tightening rear spokes, one decided to snap. It wasn't over torqued or anything, it was just old. Although it turned out to be alright, as I had overlooked the fact that the rear wheel was already missing a spoke. I placed a Rocky Mountain order and moved my attention to that makeshift battery box cover. The previous owner had the battery installed sideways, so I fixed that and then installed a new OEM cover. From there, I cleaned out the air boot as I figured it had likely sucked some dirt without a proper air filter, and then I installed a new Tusk air filter coated in some fresh NoToil filter oil.
These are the tightest little air boxes. You're ridiculous. Dude, how the did I do this? There we go, dude. Holy shit. No wonder these kids use the freaking rag method. That was brutal. Shout out to all the TTR dads doing TTR air filters. I guess it's only an annual maintenance item on these bikes, but I'm like straight up like not having a good time right now.
Bro, I'm straight up not having a good time.
With that tricky little bastard finally installed, I brought the bike outside to power wash it. I know my order of operations are a little off here, as I should have washed the bike before I tore it apart, but the weather here in Montana was finally cooperating. I gave the 16 a quick rinse while I was at it, and then I moved on to replacing those bent bars with a fresh set from Tusk, and I did end up reusing the grips. I blew the left grip off with compressed air. This is one of those little things in a bike flip that can be a difficult decision. Would I have liked to put fresh grips on? Of course. But are these grips damaged or in need of replacement? Not really. Those little decisions when flipping a bike add up. $10 here, $10 there can often end up as a couple $100 by the end of the project. My goal here is not to fully restore a TTR125. It's to take a bike that was a little sketchy, looked like crap, and ran just okay, and turn it into a bike that is ready to ride and not an eyesore. Which brings me to a funny decision on the plastics here. I replaced everything but the side panels. The shrouds were broken and the fenders were in rough shape, but the side panels were just plasti-dipped black. It was $50 for a set, and these are fully functional. I realized I might have a 7-year-old can of Plasti-Dip hidden in the back of my shelf from dipping my Jeep rims years ago. This is not something I would do on a build or on a part that wasn't already Plasti-Dipped, but I figured might as well clean them up a little since I have the means, and if someone wants new side panels, that is up to them. They're not going to affect the bike's performance, but yeah, it's a less than professional solution for sure. I'm alright with it in this case. I added some fresh fuel, and even though the bike ran, the idle was super sporadic and it wasn't running right. I tore into the carburetor, which is really easy to do on these bikes, and sure enough, the pilot jet was totally clogged. I sprayed it out with some carb cleaner and compressed air, and then shifted my attention to the O-ring on the main jet that was falling apart. I replaced that with a fresh one from the O-ring kit I got at Harbor Freight, and began reassembly. The bowl had some gunk built up in it from ethanol gas sitting for too long, so I got that cleaned up and we were ready to test the idle. The idle seemed smoother but still high, and they do not make the idle screw easy access on these, which is a little silly. I had to use a long extension but managed to get in there and turn the idle down.
And a nice, healthy idle. And that is how a TTR is supposed to sound.
I finally got around to replacing the seals and oil on these nasty forks, and they of course first got a scrub down into sync. I've never touched a set of TTR forks in my life, and I figured they would be pretty simple. I did not realize you need a special deep 14 mil to get the damper rod assembly removed, so I had to do a little grinding and customization on the 14 mil Allen socket I had, but made it work.
Oh, that stinks, dude. That oil is from 2007, what's left of it. What the f? Can't make this stuff up. That thing just broke off of the tab. that it was welded to.
No rim strip at all, dude. Just raw dogging it.
Not to worry, we're stocked up. Oh, that was an 80 foot-pound oil drain bolt. Oh, it's got nice fresh oil in it though. Would not have bet on that. All right, right back to where it was, 85 foot-pounds. Just kidding, it only needs like a quarter Uggy Duggy. Uggy. Well, as these things tend to go, little bit longer day in the shop than expected. Working on this TTR, this thing should be 100% ready to go, aside from 2 missing rear spokes. I've got those on order, so this fresh rear tire is gonna have to come back off, but for now, let's take this thing around the block and see if we've got it dialed.
Nice and smooth. Things running crisp, sounding good. Now I feel good about this thing. It was running all right before, it is running great now. How's our idle? Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Had to sticker slap the TTR to finish off the refresh, and it was time to take care of the 2016 while awaiting new spokes for the 2007. The 16 was really just repeating a few of the same steps from the 07. I charged up the battery and the electric start was working once again, although the bike was not running quite right. While it was running well when I bought it, it was definitely struggling now. I assumed it was running ethanol gas and letting it sit all winter was no good, so this bike also got a carb cleaning. Sure enough, the pilot was clogged and the bowl was full of ethanol gunk. With that taken care of, I went to replace the air filter as well, at which point I realized I was a dumbass on the 07, and these air filters actually have a screen that slides all the way out to make air filter installation super easy. Definitely overlooked that one on the 07. With a clean carburetor and clean air filter, it was time to see if this thing was running correctly. With the bike now running as it should, it got some more love where it was needed, including a new fuel vent line, new levers, and new tires, all from Tusk. I, of course, replaced that missing front wheel spacer as well. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser does an incredible job of cleaning up dirty or scuffed plastics, as you can see from this side panel here, and the 16 was ready for sticker slaps too. After a little Tusk gloss coat, it was time for the last item, which was an oil change, but as soon as I pulled the plug, I saw this oil is literally brand new, so I reinstalled the drain bolt and topped off the oil. My spokes had arrived, and I was thrilled to wrap up both of these bikes and list them for sale, only to realize I accidentally ordered spokes for a small wheel version TTR. Just a couple days later, the correct spokes arrived and I got those replaced. The rear sprocket did have to come off and a few other spoke nipples had to be removed in order to get the new ones laced in, but about a half hour later, this bike was fully complete and both TTRs were ready to rip. Now let's talk cost. I'm fortunate to be working with Rocky Mountain, so I was able to get some of these parts free or discounted, but we're going to discuss everything at MSRP as that's what's relatable and realistic when it comes to flips, and up until recently, I paid MSRP for everything. For the 2007, I'm in a total of $1,240. The parts breakdown is on screen, and the most expensive parts were plastics. For whatever reason, affordable plastic kits aren't really available for TTRs. I spent around 8 hours on this bike and another 2 hours driving for a total of 10 hours invested. For the 2016, I'm in a total of $1,215. Once again, the parts breakdown is on screen, and this one really did not need that much. I spent about 2 hours on this one, plus 3 hours driving, for a total of 5 hours invested. All in, 15 hours for both bikes. I ended up selling the 2016 to my buddy Grant's girlfriend Abby, who also happens to be the newest member of the Fender Girls. Don't forget, every merch purchase gets you entered for a chance to win the KLX 143 Big Bore pit bike I'm building. Abby paid $2,000 for the 2016, and I ended up selling the 2007 on Marketplace for $2,200. For both bikes, total profit $1,745. Total time, 15 hours for an hourly wage of $116 per hour, and 2 TTRs back in ready-to-ride condition with happy new owners. Win-win.
If you enjoyed watching this video or learned something from it, please consider clicking that subscribe button down below. If you'd like to support the channel, you can use my affiliate links down in the description below when you buy parts. You can also enter to win the KLX 143 big bore pit bike that I'm building. Thank you all so much for watching, and happy wrenching.